So don't make you laugh.
I might overdub my laughter. I might just overdub an old laugh from an old episode where I should be laughing. So,
but just like hold it in.
I'm gonna have to hold in the laughter because of my hernia, and just don't. I can't watch any comedy movies, mate. Can't watch any comedies.
Right, shall we?
Yeah, why not? Where's that music? In this week's special episode, Dave and I head out on location to London's single malt distillery of Bimber.
Yes. We finally had our first outing. We went for a distillery tour, a tasting session, and we got an interview with Bimber's own Matt McKay.
And as always, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at Whisky and Things Podcast on Instagram and at Whisky and Things on Facebook and Twitter.
And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on whatever your podcast platform is.
Any of them. Doesn't matter.
All of them.
Yeah.
Even Amazon now. Even Amazon.
Oh, yeah, Amazon.
Yeah. New. All brand new.
You're listening to the Whiskey and Things Podcast with Dave Giles and Nick Kent.
How do we start this?
I don't know. I usually do it.
I know, but I do it slightly different on the other one, don't I? I'm getting confused.
Of course. Yeah.
Getting confused.
I'll start then, seeing as Dave is out of practice of doing his whiskey show. Good evening, afternoon, or morning, if you're that type of person, to the Whiskey and Things Podcast.
All right, Jim Carrey.
I am Nick Kent.
And I am Dave Giles. It's good to be back. Episode 27.
Yes, I know, right? I know.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of weeks where we've not been doing this.
No.
Because the live show was obviously pre-recorded a couple of months back. And then last week we had our first special reserve show because Nick has been recuperating
from my dong replacement. I heard the walrus dong was pretty long. So I've had the walrus dong attached.
All the aubergine emojis. All the aubergines.
Yeah. It does that. Yeah. I've had a hernia operation, everyone. And it does weird things down there.
So we're back.
Yeah, we're back. I'm coming to you live from the Garden of England in my parents' guest room this week, which is lovely. Bit of a different setting for me.
This week, Nicholas is certainly Mr. Nicholas County of Kent.
Yes. Definitely am. Yeah. So what have you been up to, Dave, apart from stealing my jokes for your other podcast?
Oh, your jokes are coming in handy.
They're coming
left,
out,
right and centre, mate. You need to keep giving me them. You need to.
I know. I am the comedy writer for Space and Things, everyone.
He
Don't
is.
worry about
Anytime I am remotely funny in my other podcast, it's because Nick's normally text me beforehand or in a FaceTime. Dropped an absolute amazing joke, which I've then gone, all right, in that down.
Yeah, but you got to tell them, right? You told the New Zealand one wrong, by the way. You said New Zealand's on the edge of the earth, when it's not. It's on the underneath of the earth, Dave. You sound like a flat earther when you say the edge of the earth. Are you a flat earther, Dave? Are you a flat earther?
Well, that was my spin on the joke. I thought I'd give it my own spin, Nick.
Oh.
My own little spin. And it worked, so I don't mind, really. Don't mind.
Fine.
Anyway, how are you, Nicholas? Post-op fun and games, or is it not fun and games? Are you bored out of your mind?
No, I'm all right. Slowly getting back on my feet, and it's not too bad. It only takes about a week to be able to recover where you can actually go out.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I was able to drink whiskey last night, so we're fine.
Nice.
We're fine.
Nice.
We are fine.
So yeah, that's our brief catch up done. I don't need to know any more about your life. Shall we just crack on with the show, Nicholas?
Should we crack on? It's a good one today.
Let's just crack on.
Whiskey butts, roll out.
Talking of saying crack on, mate, in the first episode of Space and Things, I said it so many times, I actually got a tweet from someone I didn't know saying it's time we crack on. I'm like, oh, God.
Wow.
So I've been really self-conscious of saying that.
Oh, so that's your basically, is it?
Yeah, Dave Crack On Giles. Get the crack on. What's the crack, Dave? You know, all of the above. All of the above.
Oh, I saw something about a crack on. And I thought it had something to do with your ass for some reason.
No, that was me getting abused for saying crack on too much.
Right, okay. That's just 17 years of me knowing you. I just assumed it was something to do with your ass. Sorry about that. Anyway.
Excellent. So before Nicholas had his operation, we had a day out together.
It was an outing.
First Whiskey and Things outing. It was amazing.
We went really far away, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah, miles away. Well, I did.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, in fact, it was a long way from where I live.
So a bit of backstory. I live in Acton in West London. Not many people have heard of it, but it is quite a big part of London. And Nick used to live here as well until only last year, or maybe actually a bit longer ago than that, wasn't it? Anyway, he lived here for a long time. And this is where we lived when we used to do the old YouTube show, so on and so forth. When we started this podcast, I started following various whiskey sites on Instagram, and someone posted about a London whiskey called Bimber. And I was like, a London whiskey? I've never heard of a London whiskey before. So alas, I did some research and I had a look up at this little place called Bimber, and it turns out that their distillery was in Acton. Could not believe it. I then panicked that we had actually spent years living here and not known there's a distillery literally half a mile away.
Yeah.
So I got in contact and asked if we could come and do a little tour. And they very politely said yes. So we found a date and we went down there.
We did. This week's distillery.
Oh, yes.
Is Bimber.
Oh, yes.
Of London or of Park Royal. But it's North Acton, Dave, isn't it? We know it's North Acton.
It's definitely.
We used to rehearse around the corner from it. So, we were invited down by Matt and Luke from Bimber to have a little tour around. And Matt was nice enough to sit down and have a little chat with us as well afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, this was such a great day out. So, picture the scene. Are we doing the picture the scene stuff, Nick, or is that included? It's not included, is it?
Well, I'm going to do a bit of a roundup of the company, of our experience. Okay. Yeah, before
all right, okay. I'll leave it to you then. I'll leave it to you.
All right. Little background on Bimber then. They've only been distilling for about 4 years. They only launched their first single malt a year ago. We did a little post about it. Dave took the piss out of me because it's the only time I've ever done any social media. For this podcast, it is outrageous. Couldn't believe it. Anyway, also that very fact there, Nicholas, did make me feel better about the fact that I didn't know about it. Yeah.
The fact that they only released their first whiskey a year ago made me feel like, at least all those years of you living here, we weren't missing out on a decent distillery down the road.
Totally. Yeah. Their heritage is Polish, founded by their master distiller, Dariusz Plazowski, and his wife. His family have actually been producing moonshine for 3 generations over in Poland. And that's actually where they get their name from. Bimber means moonshine in Polish. And Matt McKay will be elaborating on that later on in the interview. They actually handed us a glass of their new make when we arrived as well, which of course is the moonshine. And that's well worth the trip on its own, in my opinion. And what did we do, Dave? What did we do? We necked it.
We necked it.
I think I was just under pressure. I don't know. I had a good sniff of it and stuff, but we just necked it. And what was it? 63, 65%?
They didn't tell us that at the start, did they?
They just handed us a lovely glass.
It looked like a glass of water.
Of their new make. Dave went down the hatch, and for some reason I just felt obliged to follow him. Mate, it's like it was Jameson's.
When in Rome. When in Rome.
Mate, we just necked the thing.
It was gorgeous, though. It was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. It didn't blow our heads off, though, did it? It was delicious. No. It was smooth, even though it was full strength.
Very fruity.
This hadn't even been aged, so the ABV hadn't even come down in the casks yet. This was fresh out of the stills.
Out of
the still. I mean, it's all there. They pride themselves on having a very hands-on approach. Everything's under one roof there. They used to distill gins and vodkas, but now they only make single malts. The barley comes from Basingstoke, from one farm. That's in Hampshire. And they process the barley a little differently. Instead of milling the barley, they just crack open the husk, preserving the whole kernel, which is a bit different to everyone else. It's such a great place. They've got 7 huge American oak washbacks in there, Dave, haven't they? So that's what I got to stick my head in.
What's a washback?
That's where the mixture ferments. That's where they add the yeast. That's where the alcohol's made.
Is that what the mash? Is that mash, or is the mash what comes out of that?
No, mash is what goes in there after the mash been in the mash tun.
Right.
They added the water to the kernels, to the barley.
Yeah.
After that, it goes in there, and they add the yeast, and that's where the alcohol's made. And
I didn't know that's
smell.
I didn't know that's what they were called.
Yeah.
Washbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're these big wooden things. They look like massive barrels, essentially, don't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah. Same thing. Right?
And you pointed out at the time that you're not used to seeing them stand so high, and that's because normally they go underground a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, usually there's a platform kind of high up. It's basically a floor which is suspended above, so you can basically just look into it without a ladder. That's usually how distilleries are done. But another thing they do, because they kind of, later on we'll be talking about the fruity nature of their whiskey. The reasons for that are, one, the full kernel we're talking about with the barley, but also they ferment for 7 days, which is twice as long as normal, or, in Scotland. Usually the minimum is 48 hours, but some do 60 plus hours. 7 days, Dave, is 168 hours. Maths.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I did put that into a calculator earlier.
Oh, I'm very proud of you. Very proud of your.
Thanks, mate. That's where they kind of get their fruitier flavour from. What else was beautiful, Dave? Those 2 beautiful copper pot stills.
Yeah.
1,000 litres. Lovely. The Ugees, mate. The Ugees on there. Beautiful.
Yeah. Check out the Ugees on them.
But it's well worth going down and have a look at this, because it's all under one roof and it's very hands-on, and there were, the tour's fantastic.
Yeah, so I just want to picture the scene. This is in the middle of an industrial estate. It's surrounded by car bodyworks, repair shops, and a peanut factory.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick.
It's fine.
And then there's this tiny little sign. It says Bimber. And it's like, oh, there it is. Found it.
Yeah.
And then it's all in this. It's a tiny little place. It literally, I couldn't believe it. Like, imagine a small church hall kind of size. It's probably total size. It's tiny. But the smell, the moment you walk in, is just overwhelming and delightful.
It is, yeah. We could smell it. We knew we were close, couldn't we?
Oh, it was so good.
Smell it, that fruity barley.
And the whole time you're there, what I liked about it, this is actually the first ever working distillery I've been to. I've only ever been to the Jameson's historic distillery in Dublin, not where they make it now, the old place. They've got a bit left, and there's a tour there. So this for me was a new experience. But I have done wine tours and port wine lodge tours and things like that, and yet this very much felt like we were in the middle of the factory. Like, we were there. It was all going on around us.
We were in danger of being run over by a forklift.
Or being included in the next batch of whiskey.
This is true.
It was happening right in front of us. The stills were running right there. The new make was pouring out of it into the containers. It was all happening there, and they were bottling it up. They were getting stuff ready to be packaged. And they had, and yet at the front they had a tiny little bar where you do tasting sessions.
Yeah,
it was just delightful being around the noise of it all and seeing it all being done there and then, whilst we're just in the way, kind of.
Yeah, it's so small. You could stand in the middle. You saw everything. There was no walls. It was absolutely everything was in front of you. They only produce a cask a day to go into the maturing process.
Yeah. So I absolutely loved. This was one of the best days I've had in a while. I actually had a bit of a dip afterwards because this was so much fun, and the fact that when we started doing this whiskey and things, or the idea came out this time last year that we were going to do a podcast. The idea was we were going to do these kind of things.
Yeah.
So to be able to finally do one and it to be as much fun as it was really wonderful.
Yeah.
So shall we jump? Have you got anything else, or should we jump into the interview?
Not really. No, I was just going to mention that they use good old Thames water. Which I think is very important.
Well, actually, that was really interesting what he said. I don't think this came up. I think this came up in the tour rather than in the interview. So, so Nick asked about the water source, because for those of you who've been watching listening to the podcast, you will know that Nick always likes to find out where the water comes from.
Yeah, I want to see the river. I want to know where it's from.
Wants to see the river. And we were told, so Nick asked, where's the river come from? Oh, it's Thames water. And then they pointed to the point where it comes in and all the processing it has to go through. And Matt said, well, it's all well and good being by a river and all that kind of stuff, but no one's allowed in their whiskies these days to just take it straight from source. You're not allowed to just have spring water.
Yeah.
It has to, because of laws and regulations, it has to have been processed, even if it is really pure spring water. So he said, to an extent, it doesn't really matter now where you put your distillery.
No.
Which was interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah.
He said in the old days, it 100% would make sense, but not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, all that's go through the same processes to be purified, which was very interesting. They showed us a very lovely black box on the wall. It's like, that's where our water comes from.
Yeah.
But everyone, if you're in London, book a tour. It's fantastic.
And let me know, because I'm just down the road. I'll come along with you.
He will. He'll love it.
Cool. I will love it. All right.
So
Let's crack on.
There is a bit of background noise going on because we were chatting at the bar in the middle of the distillery. So we apologise for that. But here is a conversation with Matt McKay of Bimber. Hope you enjoy.
So here we are. We're at Bimber Distillery in West London. I would call this Acton. Is this Park Royal? We call it Acton.
I thought this was North Acton.
Yeah.
This is North Acton.
It's definitely North Acton. And we're here with Matt, who's brand manager for Bimber.
Head of marketing and communications.
Head of marketing and communications at Bimber. So we've just had a little tour of the distillery. The smell is absolutely incredible. My senses are going nuts with the smell.
It's a fruity, isn't it? Very nice.
It's so fruity. And Matt has sat us down here with a bottle of their 2020 small batch ex-bourbon oak cask single malt. And we're about to do a little sample of it.
We are. What does Bimber mean? You said was it Polish origins?
Yeah, so
company?
Bimber in Polish, it's pronounced more Bimber, but it means in Polish moonshine.
Right.
So if you go to Poland and ask for Bimber, you're effectively, up until we started making whiskey, you were kind of asking for the illicit stuff, the stuff people were distilling in woods and basements away from the prying eyes of the taxman. But because our heritage comes from, the generational history of our master distiller, whose grandfather and father were making Bimber, we've adopted that name. Our logo, if you look at it, it's an eagle. That derives from the Polish coat of arms. There's an eagle on top of the Polish coat of arms, and it's facing to the past, whereas we've modernized it and we're facing it to the future.
Nice.
Oh, good.
Nice. Love that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm very impressed with everything I've seen today and the process that you and the attention to detail that you take here. And you gave us when we first came in, you gave us some of your new make.
Yep.
Which was so fruity and smooth. Bearing in mind it was 60% or whatever.
Yeah, 63.5.
Yes.
So
it didn't. Yeah, we just shot it straight down, didn't we? And it didn't blow our heads off
really
whatsoever.
did.
Were you expecting that? Is that what people usually do when they come in?
No, normally people come. There's not many distilleries where you'll go to and the first thing you'll be greeted with is a glass of filling strength new make.
Yeah.
Not many places do that. We always do that because what we want to do is tell you about our story and the ingredients and where it's come from, but to give you that experience of trying that spirit and then seeing how we make that spirit and being able to then judge what you've correctly, I think, identified as a fruity character, to then see that profile translate into the whiskies as you then try them.
Right.
Everything for us comes from the quality of that new make. So it just seems crazy not to let people try it and then be able to see it.
Yeah.
To be honest, places like Poland, where our heritage come from, people actually really enjoy drinking the new make as it is. So we've done a few bottlings just of that new make spirit to meet the demand for people who actually enjoy its profile, whether they have water or not. That they find it both fruity and surprisingly drinkable, given the sort of potency of it. But yeah, whenever you visit Bimber, it's pretty much going to be the first thing that we offer you and say, hey, this is what we're making. This is how we make it. Now try it as whiskey, as mature spirit, and see how you can follow that journey, not just with us through the distillery, but through the glass as well.
Yeah. I do like these little glasses you've given us, by the way.
These
Very
are
smart.
Nice.
So this is 51.8%.
Yep.
On the eyes, it's a light amber. Do you go with that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do good nosing because there's so many great smells in this room. I don't know if I'm going to be picking
We're
up.
not going in cold, or
what is in there. So,
well, it's fruity. I'm getting a caramel on the nose as well. Is that? Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I got that straight away.
In my opinion, there's no such thing as a right or wrong tasting
This
note.
is true.
Your
Oh, so
olfactory
true.
system is unique.
Yeah.
Well, there might be a wrong tasting note. I mean, if you're out there saying it smells like a rainy day in New York, I might raise an eyebrow. But it is a personal thing. So it's what whatever you two are going to get. You might find commonalities, but we're all going to have different things.
I'm getting a bit of white chocolate in there, but Caramac. Remember Caramac?
I remember Caramac.
Yeah, there's definitely a fruitcake vibe as well to it. Mum's Christmas cake is singing through. If you had told me this was sherry cask, I would have believed you, but it is bourbon cask. It's that fruity. It definitely has that element to it.
It's not like anything I've smelt before. That's what
It is.
again, it might be because I'm in the room it's made, but just,
No, it is a particularly unique style. Although notionally, if you look at the process that we're going through here from mashing, fermentation, distillation, it follows the common threads of what you'll find at virtually all distilleries, Scotland in particular. But the tweaks and the uniqueness that we put on each element of that process, from the ingredients, the long fermentation, the customized stills to our wood policy, the end result is quite unique. And as we go through a tasting, hopefully you'll start to see those characteristics, that sort of bright fruitiness, that richness, the oiliness on the palate, things like that, coming through on all the different expressions, no matter what wood or how we have vatted and married it together.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get my lips around this.
I'll join you.
You ready? Definitely that oily on the tongue. Wow, that's coated the tongue.
Yeah, it's a strong tingle straight from the off.
Probably the strongest one we sample, because we don't normally do stuff this strong. I don't think we've had anything this strong.
No, we haven't.
Wow, that's a really long finish in a really pleasant way.
But to me,
as well.
it's not like uncomfortably burning.
No.
It's very smooth and very drinkable.
No, as I said when we were looking around the distillery, what we're trying to do is, unless it's a single cask release where we're looking at the ABV of the cask and providing it au natural, what we're doing with our vatted and married releases is we're working quite hard to add the correct amount of potable water to allow that spirit to sing as much as possible, but equally not to necessarily say, well, it's perfect as is. We do firmly believe that whiskey can shine in a variety of casks, but in a variety of ABVs. So yeah, you'll find ABVs high, but not necessarily always cask strength.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the ex-bourbon oak casks we're drinking from now. What bourbon has been in these before? Where do you get your casks from?
That one's very difficult to say. We source casks from a whole variety of places. In terms of American oak ex-bourbon, you're primarily looking at Kelvin Cooperage,
Right.
which is over in Kentucky, and they deal with bourbon casks from a whole host of distilleries.
Oh.
So we are fairly agnostic to which distilleries we work for. You'll find other Scottish distilleries, because they're owned by a big conglomerate. That conglomerate owns a bourbon distillery, ergo all the casks come from the same place.
Totally.
We are not. We are, family owned effectively. So what we're looking for from a cask is its quality, its structural integrity, its history. We want to know not just what was in it, but what did that go on to become a make, how long was in it, how much fill, how much was left in it. And so by and large, we're agnostic as to which distillery it comes from. It's about the quality of it. So you'll find if you dig through the warehouses and look on the backs of casks before they've been, sort of particularly on the refills marked with white, you'll still see some of the original distilleries on there, and you'll recognise them.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have any particular ties to one bourbon distillery or another. It's about the quality and integrity rather than the brand name.
Okay.
There is a strong woody flavour in this, especially on the finish.
Yeah.
The oak is really coming through. And we used to laugh when we first started doing this, and people would say, or we'd read the notes, and it'd be like a wood finish or an oak. We'd be like, can you taste the wood?
Yeah.
But as our palates are developing, you can, and that's really nice.
It is very nice.
Yeah. In a very pleasant wood flavour. And how many bottles of this would you have made?
That will say on it was 1,948.
Wow. I'm impressed.
I'm also a little bit impressed because I started talking, and whilst I was saying the number, I'm like, Is it right? And because I've said it
Might
so
be
many
wrong, we don't
times,
know.
it is right.
Could have said anything.
Yeah, but then it might have been wrong. 1,948 for that release. So everything you'll see from Bimber is small. It's a function of A, the size of the distillery you're in, that everything's done under one roof. B, the fact the size of the equipment. You'll see bigger stills all over the place.
Yeah.
But particularly with the ethos and mentality that we put into making the spirit, that it's about the end product, it's not about volumes. And so, you're going to see releases from a few hundred bottles in a single cask up to a vatting like this, where you're looking at sort of 2,000 to 3,000 bottles, where we vatted 8 to sort of 14, 15 of the same cask type. But really, you're not currently in the sort of growth stage that we're in. We've only released our first product a year ago. You're not going to be seeing a limited release of 80,000 bottles ever. We're just not that sort of size.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see the word small batch thrown around a lot, especially by the big companies, but this definitely is,
Yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot of distilleries saying small batch, and then it doesn't actually tell you how big the batch is.
Yeah.
So you've no idea if it's small or not. We say small batch, it is, and we'll tell you how many it is, and you'll be able to see that it really is small.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could walk past this place if you didn't know it was here, wouldn't you?
We have probably.
Yeah.
I don't know why you were wandering past an industrial estate.
Well, there's a rehearsal studio around the corner. We've been going to for 15 years.
We recorded the In Session videos just around the corner. And if you remember when I was
Yes, we
driving
did.
here, we were driving around because I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
So we probably drove right past it.
we have.
Well, now you've made it.
There we
Yes.
go. We finally found it.
Finally found home.
Yes. You're saying you were making gin.
Yep.
Because I'm guessing small company, you're waiting for your whiskey to age, and you can
Completely
doesn't
correct,
have to be
yeah.
aged. But are you continuing to release your new make? Because that's another way of kind of recouping costs.
I definitely think you can expect to see infrequent new make batches from us, but I don't think it's going to be a sort of core thing.
Right.
Because if you think of it this way, every bottle of new make is one, 2/3 of a bottle of actual whiskey that you're not making.
Yeah.
So there is demand for it. We'll always make it because we like to share it, and we think it's tasty. But we're not a new make distillery, we're a whiskey distillery. So it's very much something for those who want it and enjoy it, we'll make it for you. For those who want to visit us and learn about us, we'll make it for you so you can appreciate that journey. But it's not going to be, hi, welcome to Bimber Distillery, here's some new make. It's not what we're about. We're about trying to elevate the ingredients beyond their, whiskey is quite humble if you think about it. If you think about the 3 ingredients to make whiskey, they're all very humble, common things. And our job is to try to make them less humble, to make them elegant and delicious.
Yeah. And what yeast are you using? Are you particularly picky about the yeast?
Yeah, so our yeast is a little bit of a secret. Effectively, it's a combination of distillers and baker's yeast. But there's not much in here that we don't provide the full spec on. That is one of the things.
Yeah. In Scotland, for example, they don't pick and choose yeast as much as they do in America. With bourbon, they're very picky. And yeast is a massive thing.
Yeast is a thing for various reasons. One, because of the flavour that it gives. And if you ever do any home brewing, if you want to play around with yeast there, you'll find huge differences in the beer you're making. And the same is true for making whiskey. But also it becomes a function of yield. And a lot of strains that are used by big distilleries, they're used, yes, because they get the flavour that they want, but also because they have maximum extractability in terms of conversion. And so it does become a factor of yield. Again, we are not bound by that because we'd love to make more whiskey, but we want to make whiskey this way. So we could probably have a more efficient yeast. We choose not to because we want this yeast that we use to create this exact product.
Yeah.
Do you sell casks as well, or are you not into that kind of investment process?
It's not really not into that investment. It's again a function of size. In the
That's what I thought.
We've exploded onto the market, and demand for bottlings is so high we can't keep up. Similarly, demand for casks is so high we can't keep up.
Right.
And so we are generally not selling casks, and we're definitely not selling casks to private individuals. Not because we don't want to. It's because
where would you put them?
Well. And we don't have them. We're filling a cask a day, and every cask that we provide, as friendly and as generous we want to be, is one that we don't have to play with to make the whiskey that we want to release. In time, as we lay down more stock, sure, absolutely. It's a function of a distillery to support independent bottlers and to offer more options. But at the moment, we're just trying to produce as much whiskey ourselves.
Yeah.
And we just can't be giving away casks left, right, and centre. As much as we recognise that there's a big market there for people who either want to bottle their own, or that they want to do a new make fill and then come back in 20 years' time for their child's birthday. We totally get it. It's really tricky. I mean, whiskey as a category, as you've probably picked up particularly in the last 5 years, the whole thing has exploded. I remember when I first got into it 20 years ago, and if you wanted to buy a cask of whiskey, you could just go buy a cask of whiskey. That is not now. It's competitive, and demand for it is really, really high. So, we're trying our best to manage that, doing casks for festivals and for well-known whiskey shops and brands.
Okay.
Because we recognise there is value in other brands, bottling a Bimber, and that's great. The Selfridges release, for example, Southport Whiskey Festival. That's an amazing cask. But there has to be a sort of point in line where it's saying, sorry guys, no more, because those casks, we actually want to lay them down and see what Bimber tastes like at 7, 8, 10, 12 years' time. And so we have to make that decision to, to be somewhat limited.
Yeah, I mean, that's also very clever marketing, because...
Why, thank you.
To put yourself in those areas, like Selfridges is a good brand to be associated with, and a high quality brand. So therefore, to say we sell there and they've got their own cask from us, will then make people come and find you on your own as well. So early doors in your business plan, that's a great idea to have got involved with that kind of
and it's all really policy. I mean, it's really grown. I mean Luke will remember when we were here talking about the first release and having a launch party and say, here we are, we've got our first whiskey. And as I said a while ago, that was less than a year ago. And so that journey has, we've really exploded. And it's partly due to just a general interest in whiskey drinking outside of Scotland. And that is a new thing. I mean, if you go back in time and you said whiskey, you'd just say Scotland, bourbon in America, you might say Irish. Yeah. If you're in the know, you'd say something about Japanese whiskey. But now, actually, England is starting to develop a reputation, which is great, because England does have, 200 years ago, there was quite a lot of distilling going on in England, and it disappeared out. So it's great that it's resurging, and it's great that, Bimber can be right at the forefront of the resurgence in English whiskey. It's a fantastic feeling.
When you have a new bottling, they sell out right away.
Yeah.
How do you get your hands on one if you want one? Do you have like a mailing list of people you know will want them? Or
great question.
That is a good question.
How can we get our hands on it?
So I would say the best chance of getting your hands on, there's no guarantees, because there are more people who want Bimber than we're making whiskey. Is a membership option we have called Bimber Club, spelled with a K. It's a lifetime membership whereby you join. We'll provide you with a welcome pack with some samples. You then will get some access to bottlings. We'll give you advance notice. But the particular thing that you'll get by being a member of the club is we're producing bottlings specifically for that club.
Nice.
And they will come with your membership number on them. So you get first refusal on a bottle, and you can't get those anywhere else. It was amazing. We started that club back in May, and we've got over 1,000 members.
Wow.
Which is just, again, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
There will never be single casks because they won't provide enough bottles. But the great thing about a growing membership is, if you've got another 200 members, you just add another cask into the mix. So there'll be marriages of casks, but they'll be produced specifically for Bimber Club. And that's the one place where I can say hand on heart,
you're going to get a bottle.
You will get some Bimber because we're making it for club members.
Yeah.
Other than that, watch us on social media. Keep your eyes out. I wish we could make more. I wish it was easier.
One day.
But equally, I'm quite happy standing here, and it's a good problem to have when you put up a whiskey and
it sells out.
It sells out, and people love what you're making. That's a nice problem to have.
It's not just that it's selling out.
I'm not going to completely apologise for it.
Yeah, it's not that it's just selling out, though, is it? Every time I'm seeing someone talk about it, it's positive. So it's obviously new product. People might be like, "Oh, we'll try that." It's not much of it around, so it sells out quick. But then for the second and third and the fourth one to go, because the reviews are so high, and the fact that you're from almost a standing start, you've got 1,000 members of a club, a lifetime club, that's obviously shows the quality of the product.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. I mean, you can say all sorts of things about what we're doing here, and how traditional and involved the process is, how lovely our brand ambassador is, and he is lovely. But at the end of the day, it's all a testament to the quality of the spirit. Because if you can have the best marketing, the best people, the best tour, but if the spirit isn't exceptional, you haven't got much, really.
Yeah.
And we're really fortunate here that the team do just the most incredible job making an incredible spirit. And that's for me is where the foundations of Bimber have been, are, and will be in the future.
Fantastic.
Nice. Can you give us a sneak peek of what you have coming up?
We'll even give you a little taste.
Ooh.
So
wow.
This is coming out next week. So
nice.
I will tell
Look
you
at
all
that.
about it. So earlier in the year, we produced an Oloroso finish. So whiskey that had been matured in ex-bourbon and then finished in a Spanish Oloroso cask. And that was produced for the European market. And people were really sad because it sold out really quickly, and we knew it would. So we straight away got working on laying down the finishing cask for the second one. So this is Oloroso cask batch 2, and this is being produced for the UK market.
Wow.
Effectively, we will keep producing them, but we can't put it all out at once because we're only a little distillery. But yeah, this is coming out next week. It's bottled at 51.7%. And if you look on social media, there was a little teaser for it earlier today that I put up.
Oh, we will be sure to share that.
So, this, because of its finishing cask, it has somewhat of a different profile. You'll still get that fruity character of the spirit coming through, but the sherry finish has added quite a lot of additional richness and sugar and different type of fruit. Sort of more dried fruit than tropical fruit.
It definitely. My eyes. No, it's not any darker. It looks roughly the same on the eyes.
Sure. I mean, it's been in the Oloroso for a few months, but not. So it's extracted flavour rather than colour. I mean, often if you're taking colour, you're also taking tannins.
Yes.
But you won't find this any more tannic than any of the other whiskies. It's taken the flavour of that precursor cask of that sherry.
Right. I'm guessing you're not using colouring at all.
No colouring, no chill filtration.
I don't want to insult you by asking now.
That's all right.
Of course, a lot of people do. But.
Oh wow, that's incredible. I think I prefer that to the ex-bourbon, and that was great. So
It's just got that little bit more, isn't it?
You're right. It's definitely more dried fruit on the nose for sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's an experience. That is.
Oh, that's one for a cold night. Isn't it? And they're coming. Cold nights are coming in.
Yeah, that's delightful.
Oh, a toast kind of vibe on the finish for me.
I'm getting that as well. Now you've said it.
The sherry casks, they're not like recharged or anything. How long have they been empty by the time you get them?
Not long at all. Any type of cask, we want it as quickly as possible. And we want it with some liquid still in that cask. We want to keep it wet because if the cask dries out and it contracts in the hoops, that's when you're going to start to get integrity problems.
Right.
So we're always looking to get that cask in as quickly as possible to make sure it's expanded in the hoops and then to fill it.
Yeah.
They don't sit around long at all. Hard to say how old these casks are. They're not necessarily vintage sherry. The Bimber Selfridges Oloroso release, that was a vintage Gonzales bias, so a very specific type of cask that you can see up in the back racking there. These ones are, I won't say more mass-produced, but they weren't released as a vintage sherry. They were more released as their own type of vatted product. But yeah, they would have had the precursor liquid in them for a decent amount of time, quite a few years, longer than the whiskey. And yeah, they've been used as a finish for around 4 months. So the ex-bourbon has gone in and it's sat there for additional maturation for about 4 months. So the whiskey is 3.5 years old.
Right.
See, it's too smooth to be that young.
Very good point. Yeah. It doesn't taste like a 3.5 year, does it?
But we said the same about the Cotswolds distillery stuff, because they're similar age to
Exactly.
Probably a little bit. Been around a year or so longer than you, maybe, I guess, but it's still young whiskey, isn't it? And very smooth. Just goes to show, doesn't it? It's what you're doing with it.
It's what you're doing with it, mate.
What you're doing with it. The attention to detail that we've seen here today, it's no surprise.
Totally. I love this operation that's going on in here.
Do you know what I like most about being here? Is it's all happening.
Yeah.
It's a working distillery. While we're here, nothing's stopped.
No.
Everyone's moved around us. We've been in the way.
We've been massively in the way. We have taken liberties. And they've been very kind. I've been up a ladder.
Yeah, whiskey is being made whilst we're sitting here. And I think that's...
You might find my keys in there in a couple of days' time.
Very special release.
Yeah.
What is this with the Japanese symbol? I can't read it because I don't have my glasses on.
So this was a gin that we made. This is the Hong Pao. And this is a gin that has been flavoured with oolong tea that we roasted. This is super, super popular, this, and has won a few awards in the gin world.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, back in the day, when we were waiting for our whiskey to mature, like a lot of distilleries, we produced other spirits. We did have, if you look online, you'll find older photos of the setup. We had a column still, a continuous still, which sat in between the two pots.
I saw that picture. Yeah,
that's now gone. That's been sold. We're not using it anymore. But yeah, we were making those type of column spirits when we first started. Yeah.
And the fact that they did well and they won awards probably helped with the launch of the whiskey, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it gave us a bit of a name, and so people could taste something from Bimber, not whiskey, but they could taste something from Bimber and say, "Wow, this is quite nice. This is nice vodka. This is nice gin.
Carrying attention.
This is nice rum." We're so excited for the whiskey to come, and then come it did, and here we are, and we can't make it quick enough. Except we don't make it quick enough. So those two things don't really. Can you make it quicker? No.
Sorry.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm made up.
I'm happy. This is wonderful.
Thanks so much for having us and
Thank you.
giving us this
guys.
tour.
It's a real pleasure to have you in.
Yeah, we hope to see you again.
Yes, we'll be keeping an eye on you, definitely, as we wander around
it sounds ominous, but I'll look at it positively.
Yeah. I'll follow you on Instagram.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of stalking. It's all fine.
You're listening to the Whiskey and Things podcast.
Well. I don't know if people could tell. I really like that place, and I really like the whiskey.
Yeah. Funny enough, you bought everything.
So as we were leaving, I was like, "Is there anything we can buy?"
That's the thing.
It's not really
and everything sells out. They said everything sells out straight away. But they had a little look and managed to find a couple of bottles kind of tucked away, and we both left with one, didn't we?
Yeah, and it was off their first bottling.
Second bottling as after their.
Was it the second one?
Yeah, the first. The one they called First, which came out a year ago.
Yeah,
that was a first. But this is the one which came out after that. This is their recharred oak casks, small batch.
And it's amazing. It literally is small batch. It's 5,000 bottles of this, and I got bottle number 94.
I got number 96.
It's always labelled. It's like it says on the. It's just so good. The packaging, everything about it.
Batch number 1.
And Nick, this cork just sounds amazing as well.
Oh, that a wonderful end. I feel like I should put some Barry White behind that. That was the money. That was the money.
That was it.
We could sell that to a Foley organisation.
I did buy the bottle of whiskey that they offered us, and I also bought a bottle of the gin because they don't make it anymore, but it did win awards, and I know people like gin, so because it's a local distillery, I want to support it. I then got home, Nick, and I joined the Bimber Club.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, send you a little care package, didn't they?
Yeah, for £40. It's a lifelong membership, and you get a couple of glasses. You get a bottle of the new make, little bottle of the new make, which I haven't necked.
That makes me want to just sign up just to get another taste of that, to be honest.
Have the new make, and also another little sample. But I got these two lovely glasses, which I'm really happy with, and also you get some from being a member, you get first dibs on some of the whiskies and discounts and all that kind of stuff because it is all small batch. And it's going to be club exclusives as well, which will be nice. But it's all small batch, so it's the kind of thing, and it's local for me. I just felt like I had to join it. I had to join it.
It's part of your heritage now, mate.
Exactly. So whilst we're finishing, the bottle we've got wasn't one we tasted in that interview. So
no,
we will have another Bimber episode some point in the future, which will be quite nice.
Because what I'm really interested to know, because we were tasting in the distillery where it was just absolutely filled with the glorious smell of fermenting barley.
We were saturated.
Well, that's the thing, because I don't know if my nose being in there really influenced. I didn't do many tasting notes because of this, because I just think I was just sitting there drinking it and sniffing it thinking, this is beautiful, but I don't know if this is actually what it's like, because it's my old factory just being bombarded with the fermenting tanks, you know. So I want to open it, but I was going to save it. You've gone and opened it, Dave. You've gone and given me a massive dilemma now.
It's good.
How dare you?
It's good.
How dare you? What kind of friend are you? Does it taste a lot like the way it was in the distillery?
Mate, it's delightful. It is absolutely delightful.
Right.
It's got all the same attributes that we said. Fruity. The smell, the long finish, just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm so impressed by this company. I was so impressed with Matt. I was so impressed with what happened down there. Yeah, it just felt me, as much as I was having a good time, I just felt good about being there. It just was nice. It was nice to see a company with a good, like, they knew what they wanted to do. They stopped doing the gin and the vodka because they want to just make whiskey, and they had to do the gin and vodka just whilst they were getting set up.
Because get some revenue in, yeah.
Yeah. But even that won awards. But, you know, they've got an award-winning product, and they go, do you know what? No, it's not what we want to do. Like, I like that. They're sticking to their guns. They're not got plans to grow to be a big company. They want to stay at size where it is small batch and it means something.
Yeah.
And the quality is there.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that a lot. And hopefully they'll be around for a while.
Yes. Well, we'll, as I said, we'll keep an eye on them. It sounded really creepy when I said that in the interview. Keep an eye on you.
We'll keep an eye on you.
Yeah. Yes.
We will keep an eye on you.
But there's a wonderful day.
Yeah. But yeah, our first distillery. And since then, Nick has since sent me a map of all the locations of English distilleries. Because this is our second English whiskey.
Yep.
The other one being the Cotswolds.
Yes.
And they've both been good.
They have both been good. And they've both been kind of different, haven't they, from Scotch? And they're we're getting an English vibe. Is that the English vibe, that fruitiness?
There's only about 30 or so distilleries, right? There wasn't that many.
No, there wasn't many.
Definitely enough that we could collect them.
Oh, yeah.
We can collect them all.
Yeah, there's some lovely ones down in Dorset. That's worth a trip.
So, yeah, we'll have a few day trips. Maybe a few other trips. Oh, I'm just excited. The whole thing got me excited. It got me excited about the podcast. It got me excited about whiskey. I'm now a member of a whiskey club. I mean, it's just wonderful. It was just a great time.
It's just nice to know that that kind of thing will be possible at some point. You know, it's a little bit of a taster. But it's fantastic. I'm sure we'll be sticking up some pictures here and there of our visit on our socials. So keep an eye out for those. If you want to find out more about Bimber, you can visit www.bimberdistillery.co.uk. On Instagram, they are at Bimber Distillery, and on Twitter, you can find them at Bimber London.
Whiskey?
Yeah, so next week, what are we doing next week, Nick? Back to normal?
Normal show.
If I remember rightly, you said we're doing Monkey Shoulder.
I got the bottle here, look. Yes, I thought it'd be good, because we tried our first blend a couple of weeks ago. Or a few weeks ago. There, the Hibiki. But we haven't ventured into Scotch blends yet. So I thought a good place to start would be the Monkey Shoulder, which is a blended malt Scotch whiskey. Yeah.
Fantastic.
A great place to start, I think.
It's a Speyside, right?
Yeah.
Have I got that wrong?
Yes. It's a Speyside. It's a blend of single malts from various different distilleries. I've had it before and I've liked it, but I haven't made any kind of notes on it. So I'm looking forward to going back in there, diving back in.
It does have a great name. Has a great name.
Yes, we'll explain that name. It's a great name.
So yeah, next week we'll be doing Monkey Shoulder and a normal show, and the Whiskey God will be back.
Yes.
Amateurs. See you next week.
Yes. Missed him.
Yeah. But we hope you've enjoyed our first distillery tour, and let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any distilleries nearby or any experiences at any distilleries which you think we might enjoy ourselves. We'd love to hear from you. And if you've been to Bimber, let us know.
Yeah.
Or if you're planning on going to Bimber, please definitely let me know. But we will see you next week. We'll talk to you next week as well.
Same whiskey time, same whiskey channel.
In the meantime, cheers.
Oh, my dong.
Don't laugh. It works.
Make it worse. Anyway.
Reminds me of my first time. Anyway.
She was a big lass. What?
Anyway.
Get out of here.
Yeah, let's sign out. Let's sign out. Ready? So, thanks for coming. Cheers. No, what?
Cheers. Thanks for coming.
Whiskey and Things has been brought to you by And Things Productions.